Good evening once again, and welcome to the third session of the program. And the discussion topic today will be one that we left incomplete in the previous session, where I mentioned that we will be discussing about some of the essential skills that we all must have with us in our pocket uh, as healthcare providers. And then, of course, we will be discussing about how do you go about designing a program. I'm sure some of you must be already doing with great detail, but just to make sure that everybody understands the nuances of planning a program and designing a program, we'll be spending some time discussing about the designing part of the program. So going back to the original topic that we were supposed to complete, and that is essential skills in healthcare. So of course there are many of them. Maybe we can't cover all of them in today's session, but from my experience, I have felt that if we had these 4 or 5 skills in our pocket, I think we are good to go. We can manage most of the situations. We can send our patients satisfied, and we can do well to our patient. So, if I may just ask all of you, what do you think are the essential communication skills that we should have as healthcare providers in our pocket? Write in the chat box. Somebody's device is on unmute mode. Can I request you to mute your device? Thank you. Wonderful. So I can see some answers in the chat box. Establishing rapport. Definitely, I think, Raminda, that's one of the primary skills I always talk about. Listening skill first. Yes, good listener. Absolutely, Aparna. And then first accuracy and certainty. Okay, that's also fine. Great. Teamwork. Yes, absolutely. That's also very essential because healthcare, we don't work in isolation. We work with people. So we really need to have good team skills. Absolutely. Giving respect. Yes, that's also very important to your patients, to their family members, and also to our fellow professionals, especially those who are working under us and who are subordinate to us. It's very important to give respect. Absolutely. I think that's very important skill. Confidence. Yes, Simila, I agree with you because otherwise patients will not trust us. Active listening. Yes. Then time management. Again, active listening. Communication skills. Yes. And empathy. Perfect. Clear, concise communication. Again, that's very important. Active listening and empathy. Yes. Language proficiency. Yes, that's very important. Teamwork. Again, you have mentioned. Stress management, positive attitude, attention to details. Very correct. And understanding need of other persons. I think you have covered almost everything that we always say that this is what we all need to have. So maybe I have, okay, cultural awareness. Yes, Dr. Anu, I think that's very important, especially because now we are getting into the era of medical tourism. In any case, this country has a lot of cultures. I don't know if you know how many languages we have. You must be knowing how many languages do we have in our country, official languages. 21. And how many dialects? 700 something. So knowing those languages, knowing those cultures, knowing their practices is very important for us to, deliver quality care. But at the same time, if we are entering into the era of medical tourism, then you can expect people coming from all parts of world for us. So we need to be ready to receive them, welcome them, understand them, and also, make them comfortable and give them a very memorable experience so that they go back with the great experience and then send some more patients, from their country. I remember I had gone to Cleveland Clinic, Ohio. I was actually invited to attend their annual summit based on my work that I do, and I posted on my LinkedIn profile. So somebody from their country head, she contacted me And she said, I have to send somebody from this country, and I didn't know that there is somebody who's working on healthcare communication and this aspect, so I want to nominate you for the program. And that's how I was there in 2019. They had annual summit on patient experience. They were just talking about how can we make our patient experience, wonderful. And hospitals now, of course, we are talking about patient care coordinators and patient, relation officers. Just yesterday, I was at Hyderabad to do a program for the patient care coordinators. It was a, service excellence program, 1 day program that I did. But there, they already have a very established cadre to look after the needs of the patient, and especially when they're getting patients from other countries, they have representative from those countries so that they can talk to the patients in their language and make them comfortable and understand their needs, and make sure that their needs are met and their concerns are addressed. So very rightly mentioned by you that cultural competency is one thing that we have to really, really, really focus on, because otherwise we will not be able to send our patients happy and satisfied. So yes, I agree with you. You have given a wonderful list of things that we need to have. So I have tried to pick just 5 of them. Why I'm saying 5? One, because it is easy to remember. When I say numbers, then it becomes easy to remember. And then I feel if these 5 are there, I think we are good to go. Lot of things we know, but we sometimes don't think that that's required in my workplace. But you will realize that they are all part and parcel of our functioning. So the first skill that I want to talk about, that I think we should have in our pocket always, and that is building rapport. So if I may ask uh, you to write in the chat box, what exactly we mean by building rapport? What exactly we mean by building rapport? Write in the chat box. I hope you all are okay with the idea of writing in the chat box, because that way I get more answers. Otherwise, somebody has an answer, but they're not able to, speak. So then we miss that answer. That's why I request you to write in the chat box. But if you want, one or two of you can always unmute and speak also. There's no problem. Yes, Simila, I agree. It's relationship. It's connect. Yes, Dr. Purnima, absolutely. It's building connection, relationship, gaining trust. Yes, absolutely. What more? Introducing oneself and asking about the client. Yes, that's important. That's one part of the aspect of building rapport. Knowing the patient, creating a safe space. I think that's a wonderful explanation, because we want to make our patient comfortable and also give them that safe space where they can talk, and especially when you have to share your personal information, something that you are shy of, something that you're hesitant of, something you are afraid of. So you really need that comfort, where you can talk your heart to your therapist or your healthcare provider. Absolutely. So being committed to common purpose, achieving that, yes. Connect with the patient with empathy, creating a space of psychological safety for the patient. Wonderful, where clients can talk about their without any hesitation, eye contact. Yes, that's a way wonderful. And then making your patient comfortable, speaking clearly to build relationship. I think wonderful answers. I'm glad that I'm asking you to write in the chat box. I'm getting more answers, and we are getting to learn various aspects. Creating and maintaining impression, absolutely, that's also one important part of building rapport, because trust is majorly depend on the impression they have about us. So my simplest definition that I give to to my audience is building rapport is creating comfort and familiarity. You are trying to create comfort and familiarity. And I think you will agree with me, whatever definition you have talked about, that all comes into these two words. You make an effort to create comfort and familiarity with your it. And it's not just about your patient or their family member. What about your new joinees? When people join your organization, how many of us really make an effort to build rapport with them, to understand them, to make them comfortable, to give them that safe space where they feel that I'm not going to be judged, I will be given an opportunity to perform and showcase my ability. So building rapport, I think, is required in all spheres of life, and that's one step. If you take proactively, rest is very, very easy. A lot of time we keep waiting for somebody to come and talk to us, and then uh, there is no connection, there is no building rapport. Now, my next question to all of you is: does it take time? And if yes, how much time does it take? How much time do you think it will take? Write in the chat box. How much time do you think it will take to build rapport? Say with your patient. Let me be specific. 3 seconds. Very precise, Anandita. Thank you. Few minutes. Yes, quickly, less than 5 minutes. It starts with first conversation and gradually grows. Absolutely. And depends on the type of communication. Actually, honestly, building rapport does not take time. So a lot of time when I am working with the medical students at Maulana Azad and other places, when I ask them, do you build rapport with your patient? They say, ma'am, time kahan hai? Time hi nahi hota rapport building ka. And when I tell them building rapport does not require time, it requires intention. It requires, do I value building rapport? If I value building rapport, it's just an effort that you need to make as a part of your way of handling your patient. My patient comes in, I'm busy doing something, I don't lift my head, I don't look at the patient. Patient comes and stand very close to my table. I'm still busy doing something. And then suddenly I look at, yes, what is it? Ma'am, dikhana hai, baitho. The other way, my patient comes in, I can, and then we all have that, awareness that there is somebody walking into my chamber. We have that sense that there is somebody coming in my chamber. My patient comes in, I lift my head and I say, आइए बैठिए, मैं 1 second कुछ काम कर रही हूँ, अभी आपसे बात करती हूँ. Actually, rapport building has begun. Just lifting head, making eye contact, showing where to sit is a wonderful way, and it doesn't require time. I think the whole process will take not more than 2-3 seconds. But your patient starts feeling that I'm welcomed, I'm received, I'm being attended. Even if I'm busy doing something and that's going to take time, and if I say, just 1 minute, let me finish this, I'll make you come, I'll talk to you. Even that's a good way. But how many of us really genuinely do it? And when people say building rapport is difficult and building rapport takes time, like I could see some of you have written 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Yes, I know. It's a process. It doesn't start and end at one point. But actually building rapport begins right in the beginning. Within few seconds, actually, the rapport starts building. So let's do a small activity to understand how we can build rapport. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create breakout rooms. Please also keep an eye on different pedagogies I'm using in the program. And I request you to note those pedagogies and also start trying in wherever you are, whatever programs you are doing, because slowly you will get a hack of it. But it's very important to be very innovative with pedagogies. Only then you can engage your audience. I'm sure how these 2 hours pass, we don't get to realize. But that's only when you will actually be able to do things that your audience enjoys and they really find it valuable. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create breakout rooms, and I will be sending 2 of you in each as pair. I'll be giving you total 3 minutes time, 2 minutes for discussion and 1 minute extra, so that in case if there is something still left that needs to be discussed. And the prompt of discussion will be, you have to, first one person will be speaking and the second will be listening for 1 minute. Then the second person who was listening will do the talking. The first person who was talking will now listen. And the prompt of discussion is, where would have you been if you were not in this profession? Should I repeat the prompt? So discuss with your partner, where would have you been if you were not in this profession? Whatever you are doing, if you were not here, where would have you been? So total 2 minutes. First 1 minute, one person will talk, the second one will listen. Then in the second minute, I will message 1 minute over. I will message 1 minute over, and then you change your role. And then the second person will do the talking, and first person will listen to the person who was earlier, now who's talking. And then 1 minute extra in case if some discussion still needs to be completed. So I'm making the breakout room. Give me 1 second to create. So you will have to accept and join the breakout room. Jenna, you will have to join the room, one of the breakout room. Room number 2. Jenna, am I audible? Jenna, am I audible?
Again, we 3 are there.
Okay.
No, ma'am is here.
So both of you are done with your activity?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I've closed the breakout rooms. Hopefully everybody will join back quickly.
You have given 1 minute for us. We have completed within 1 sentence. Sir has completed with 1 sentence. I want to be a teacher. That's it.
Okay.
Closed.
Both of you.
Yes.
Both of
No, after seeing him, I tried to extend my discussion for maybe another 10 seconds. Maybe that's it. Not more than that.
So your focus was on completing the activity.
Yeah.
I said, but
The idea
we
was,
still try to chat, but
yeah, I know.
I hope we stuck to the time correctly.
Yeah. Everybody, yeah. So, Anandita, you were with whom?
I was with Dr. Parameshwara.
Okay, great. I can't see Dr. Parameshwara.
I will join in couple of minutes. I will on my video in couple of minutes.
Okay, no problem.
I'm mobile. I'm reaching home.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah, that's the problem. If you're not visible, I forget that you are there. That's the challenge. No, I think I will have to change my setting. Even those who don't switch on their video, I should be able to see that they are there. Yeah.
Better.
Yeah. Okay. So, what was the experience? If somebody wants to unmute and shortly, briefly explain share their experience. Yeah. Raise your hand. That's better.
Yeah.
Okay, Raminder. Yes, Raminder, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Dr. Soman. It was very interesting. But
Mhm.
yes, trying to concentrate and focus on what he was talking, that
Mhm.
was interesting because it was just 1 minute to understand one another, and it was a wonderful experience.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Raminder, for sharing that experience. Yes, Anandita, go ahead, please.
So, since I spoke to Dr. Parameshwara, it was nice knowing that about his plan. The second alternative plan, if he would not have been a clinician, he would have gone for being a politician, obliga into a real estate man, because he has got. It seems he has got a lot of leadership qualities, and he has been from these college days only. He was so very active into the leadership role or anything that comes that is related to the leadership aspects. So he thought, and probably he thought somehow it took a U-turn and he became a doctor. That was interesting to know. But then he would have been a real estate man and a politician because of his good communication and leadership skills. He would have been. And I, in exchange, said that since training is one of my favorite aspect and my specialization is HR. Had I not been a HR professional, I would have definitely been a teacher because I love to interact, communicate, impart training, and as well as I would like to get training wherein, there is so much to learn and there is no end to learn.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anandita, for sharing your
Yeah.
experience. Now, what I want, just 1 second. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Extremely sorry. Sorry. So, I want to ask others, what is the feeling after interacting with your fellow participant, even that if that was for 2 minutes? What is the feeling? Are you feeling knowing each other, comfortable with each other, at least some idea now about each other?
Definitely, definitely,
Yes, yes.
definitely.
Within 1 minute, we could come to know each other.
We could connect. Yeah,
Definitely.
thank you. Yeah, thank
But
you.
the starting conversation is very tough, like how we have to start, and that became very difficult. Once we started conversation, then it became very easy for us to communicate.
So that
That is
to
where
break
exactly.
that, yeah, to break that silence or that barrier, it takes little time. But then if you can do it, and especially we are healthcare providers, we need to have that skill. We don't have to wait for that to happen automatically, especially in places where you have very heavy OPD. Maybe you will get only 3 to 5 minutes to see a patient. I mean, not in corporate sector, but I think in government sector, that's the reality. So all the more important that I should be very quick at not only making my patient comfortable, but open up so that the information that's going to come from the patient is going to help me make diagnosis. 80% of the diagnosis comes from the information our patients share with us. That will only happen if my patient becomes comfortable. And we have seen a lot of time residents literally pull their hair because they collect some history from the patients. And when they go to their consultant and talk about the patient, consultant feels that no, the patient has not shared everything. They'll put just a hand on the patient's shoulder and then say, are you taking some medicine on long-term basis? And the patient comes out, yes, I'm on anti-epileptic or I'm on anti-tuberculosis or something, and then you realize, oh, the patient hasn't shared this information because there's a lot of hesitation talking about these conditions, admitting that yes, this is what, or even people don't think that diabetes and hypertension needs to be mentioned if they are going to orthopedician or they are going to an eye specialist because they feel this is not for them, this is for a physician. So why the hell should I tell that I have diabetes or hypertension? I'm just saying that this is the problem when we are not able to make them comfortable. And see, 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, and we could connect. Similarly, when patients come to us and if we proactively make an effort to build rapport with them, it actually helps greatly. My next question to all of you is, Is this required only for the patient or for us also?
Papu?
For us.
We think that it is the patient who needs it, but honestly, don't we also need to become comfortable and familiar?
Yes.
Especially if I am going to get deeper into
Yes.
understanding some abuse. It could be drug abuse, it could be sexual abuse, it could be some psychiatric condition, it could be domestic violence. So unless I'm really comfortable talking about this, if and unless I have been able to build rapport with the patient, I will not be able to talk about these things. So it's not just for the patient. I think even we need to become comfortable and familiar with the patient. And if we value it, then I don't think it's going to take any time. So it is actually built within first 1 minute. That's why it is called concept of golden first minute when we talk about building rapport. Of course, it's a process. It goes on. The more we understand their concerns, the more we address that, the trust is built, confidence is built, and then rapport continuously built. But then we have to make sure that we make the beginning at the right time. And if we lose that opportunity, patient will always be very doubtful of our commitment towards them. My next question is it being friends with the patient?
What are you doing?
Dr. Parmeshwara, your device is on unmute mode. Can I request you to put it on mute mode? So is it being friends with the patient? Yes or no? No.
No.
It is not. It is being friendly with the patient. I know all of us know this, and we never become friends with the patient. But then when you will be training your staff and your nurses and your support staff and your resident, it's very important to make them very clear that we are friendly, but we are not friends with the patient. Because like yesterday when I was taking this session for the patient care coordinator, so when I asked them this question, that is it being friendly or is it being friends? So they said it's being, like I said, is it being friends? They said yes. I said no. If you are being friend, then there will not be any clear line of professional distance that we need to maintain with the patient. So make sure that you, when you are talking about this, emphasize this, that we are not friends with the patient, we are just friendly. Now, second skill that okay. Now coming to what all goes into building rapport. So how do you go about building rapport? Write in the chat, please. What all should we do to build rapport? Okay, communicate clearly, creating first impression. Okay, show empathy, eye contact, maintain eye contact. Absolutely, wishing and
It's a
asking
mistake
the
wishing and
asking
just
the
yeah.
yeah. Then active listening, eye contact, be clear, understanding the patient with empathy, make it personal, active listening. Okay, great. Body language, absolutely. Body language plays a very big role in communicating that, yes, I'm listening to you. So if I may just list down the things that I think we need to make sure that we do. I just share the screen to show you this slide so that you can note down. Of course, expression, I agree. Is the screen visible to all of you? It's loading, of course.
Yes.
Okay. So when we talk about how to build quick rapport with the patient, couple of things that will greatly help us the moment they come into our visual field, paying them prompt attention and greeting the patient. Usually patients would greet. And if we respond, namaste, even that's good enough. But if they don't respond, and if I say namaste ji, aiye, even that's good enough. But do we greet the patient from on our own? I think that's something to be asked. Smile if appropriate. Smile plays a very big role. If you remember the last session that we talked about the facial expressions and smile, If you have that face with no expression and no smile, I think this confuses the patient. Are we really happy to have them? Do we really want to, look after them? And blank face really is very confusing. Then offering them place to sit, because a lot of time they don't know where to sit. Sometimes they'll sit opposite you, and then you will ask them to come and sit closer to you. So showing them where to sit is another way to showcase that, you're welcome and I want to attend to you. Then very important is introduce yourself. How many of us actually introduce ourselves when we are especially meeting the patient for the first time? Especially if there is no proper nameplate outside, or the patient does not know whom I'm talking to. And if you don't introduce, they will get confused, because if we are in a hospital uniform, most of the doctors, nurses would be wearing, one color. Of course, somebody will be wearing green and somebody will be wearing blue. But then who is doctor and who is nurse and who is not very clear. So why not introduce and tell, so that they understand what to expect from you. And then another important thing is asking for patient's introduction. Why is it important to take patient's introduction?
To prevent any errors.
So a lot of time, if it's an old lady coming with a young lady or young boy, whom do you think is the patient?
For reconfirmation.
Whom do you think is the patient? If it's a lady,
Normally we'll think old lady.
normally we think it must be the lady, old lady, and the son is probably, the boy is probably the grandson or relative who is brought the. If it is a man and a woman coming together, whom do you think is the patient?
Could be any one of them.
But
I know.
Woman, usually woman.
yeah, we think it's woman. And then a lot of time we ask, is he your husband? And what a wrong question it is. Because we are assuming that he must be her husband. He could be her brother. He could be her friend. He could be a co-worker, colleague. So it's very important to ask, who is the patient? And a lot of time in government setup, especially when we have heavy OPD, we have seen, OPD slip will be of some other patient, and the patient sitting in front of you is somebody else. I'm sure you must have experienced this if you have worked in a government setup. I remember I was taking a session for a group of nurses. So they said that a lady came in and I said, "Kya naam hai, Geeta?" The patient said yes. And she gave her anti-rabies. Later on, they got to realize neither she was Geeta and nor she had been bitten by a dog. But see, when we don't ask the name properly, so usually instead of asking, "Kya naam hai, Geeta?" if you ask, "What is your name? Tell me please your name." So the patient will never give you a wrong name. But patient has a tendency to nod and say yes to everything that we say. So we have to be careful. And especially asking for attendant introduction is very important. If we are going to talk about something very sensitive, we need to know what dynamics they have between them. Patient may not be comfortable talking about domestic violence or the domination that she sees or some kind of harassment that she is experiencing if she has her the same perpetrator in the vicinity. They will not be able to talk about it. So it's important to know who is the patient and also who is the attendant and what is the relationship, and that will help us clearly know how to go further. And then of course small talk before the big talk. So what do we mean by small talk before the big talk?
Brief introduction or talking something in general and then going to specific.
So honestly, this concept is actually coming from Western world, but then of course we can improvise it in our culture. For example, if you ask, who is this with you? Or where are you from? Did you have to wait a lot? So if you ask even these one or two questions, even that's also good enough. Can you think how will this help us if you do this small talk before the big talk?
It will give picture to them that we have some time and we can listen to them.
Okay, great.
Build rapport. Build rapport.
Okay, build rapport.
They'll
It will
feel
break the
comfortable.
ice.
Okay, it will break ice. It will build rapport. Great.
It decreases the patient's anxiety, ma'am.
to some
Okay.
degree.
So it relaxes the patient. Patient feels that, okay, I mean, it's not about only very formal talk, but we have something informal to talk. Okay. Then
It will allow them to share their issues, health issues for which they have come.
that's also one of the benefit. One of the very important benefit is you will get to know patient's language skills, any hearing problem, and then conversation skills. A lot of time, the patient may not understand the language you speak. If you're asking a question in a language that you think the patient knows, and if the patient does not respond, and then the family says that no, she doesn't understand this language, you would know that this is something I have to be aware of. It could be the patient is hard of hearing. Could be patient has some speech problem. So this gives you an opportunity to see, will the patient be able to do the talking? That's the benefit of doing this small talk. Besides, of course, making the patient comfortable, making them feel that it is not only about formal consultation, but I'm also a human being, and I'm more than happy to talk to you for things like this. But then this will help you to see the patient's conversation skills also. Of course, when the patient is talking, it's very important to demonstrate respect and interest. A lot of time we ask a question and we start doing something. I think that's very unclear. If you have asked a question, pay attention and show that, yes, I'm listening to you and I'm interested in listening to you. That's about skill number one. The second skill that I want to talk about, and you all have mentioned in the chat box, that is prompt attention and attentive listening. Again, a very, very important skill. Unfortunately, we think we are listening, but we don't listen. The problem is we show that we are listening, but honestly, a lot of time we don't listen. We are going to do a small activity to again understand how it happens. So I am giving you 30 seconds time to think of any one incident from your work place or work life where somebody was very, happy and thankful to you for what you have done to them. Sometimes we go little, extra mile to help them or provide them some comfort or service. I'm sure all of you must have done something like this. So just try to recollect that incident, and then I will, I'll again put you in breakout room, and I will ask you to share your experience with your partner. I'll be giving you just 2 minutes to talk about it. So you will have to be really quick. Is that okay? So can you recollect the incident, or you want some more time to think? While you're doing this, I'm going to put...
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So if you, while you're doing this, I'm going to put half of you in the waiting room, and then I'll bring you back. And those who will be left, I will be putting them into the breakout room. So give me a second to send you out. Raminder, I'm not choosing anybody. Whoever name is coming in the top in the list, I'm sending you there. I'm putting you in the waiting room. Okay. Mr. Vijayaraj, I'm sending you to the waiting room. Dr. Abdur, I'm sending you to the waiting room. Give me 1 second. 3 people. I have to send 6. Dr. Abhishek, I'm sending you to waiting room. And Aparna and Anandita, 2 people. Okay. So 6 people have gone in. And how many of us are there now? Give me 1 second. So I think, Dr. Parmeshwar, are you there?
Yes, I am there. I am very much here.
So can you have your video on?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So friends, there's a little twist in the activity. I'm sorry for that, but then that's the way it has to be. I'm going to put you in the breakout room, and then I'll be sending a partner to each one of you. They will come with, their story they would want to share with you. But you don't have to listen. And how will you demonstrate that you are not listening? Sorry to have put you in that difficult position, but then you have to, either maybe you can be on phone, or don't nod, give just blank look. Maybe you start writing something and show that you are not attending. Is that okay? Are you all ready? So I'm creating breakout room and all of you will be in the breakout room and rest of the members will come in.
So we have to talk about a particular situation.
No, Semil. They will be talking. You will be just listening, but you will not listen. Is it clear?
Okay.
I'm creating the breakout rooms. Yeah. So have you received the notification or no? Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have done it. Yeah. Not yet? Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. I think. 1 second. Why I'm not able to see everybody's name? Yeah. Yeah, I think now you should be able to enter your have you been able to? Yeah, okay. Okay. So I'll be sending your so I can see all of you are here and I'm sending you to the breakout room. Give me 1 second to send. Abhishek, you have to go to room number 1. I think that's what I assigned you. Have I? Have you received the notification? Not yet? Give me 1 second.
I haven't.
Okay, just see if you have received now.
Yes, now I've received.
Okay. Okay. So Anandita, have you received?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Okay, give me 1 second. So there you go.
Yes.
Aparna, you have not received, no? Okay. I think Jenna has not. Raminda, you haven't received.
No, I didn't receive.
But I think we are going to be partnered with somebody who was there with you in the room number 6. Mein kaun hai? Aparna was with you. 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yes, now you must have received the,
Yeah, I received.
please, yeah. Dr. Som, I have sent, yeah. You can join.
Yeah, I think I was with Dr. Parmeshwara and he left the breakout room.
I have replaced, I have changed your room. Yeah, please join.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Vijayaraj, you have to join your group.
Okay.
Are you not there?
Yeah, I was there and came back.
Have you done the activity?
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. Dr.
Okay.
Som, could you please join Raminder?
I need an invite for the breakout room.
Give me a second. Let me tell
Yes, sure.
So you must have received the notification. Just check.
No, I haven't received any.
Should I try once again? But then I think it's okay. Let everybody come in and let's see what happens. I just close the breakout room and then bring everybody back. So, Mr. Vijayaraj, you were outside, I believe. You were in the waiting area. Am I right?
Yeah.
And Simil was listening to you?
Yeah.
Let everybody come in and then we will share the experience.
Ma'am, I think my partner could not hear me. So I tried to send a text also. She didn't respond.
Who was your partner?
Miss Jaina Source.
Let's listen to her. Let her come back.
Okay.
Raminder, I think you didn't get a partner, no?
No, I didn't get.
I know. Dr. Som was supposed to be a partner, but don't worry.
Ma'am, it felt to be so rude to be a bad listener.
Who were you with? You were with?
I was with Dr. Abdul Razak and I really have to apologize to him.
The same. I felt like I was torturing him. I think I was about to leave the breakout room, and I think in frustration, Dr. Parmeshwara has left the room. I'm so sorry, Dr. Parmeshwara, for putting you through this ordeal.
Sorry, I mean, I don't know. I was just in the room and I was just looking at you. I didn't leave the room. You left the room actually. And
Sorry,
Aparna
I
also
think
joined
I
me.
should apologize to all of you.
Sorry, Dr. Vijayaraj, for not listening to you.
Yeah. First of all, I must apologize to all of you to have put you through this activity.
And also really sorry, Dr. Abdul Razak Khan, from one pediatrician to another. It was VSD. I understood it very well.
And
Though
the
I asked
same
you,
thing. Sorry to Abhishek also because I didn't hear anything. I was
It was
turning my head and I was busy in my phone. I don't know how he
Managed
felt.
to finish on time.
it was the same thing with the next HR person. She just came and she said, "Hello, am I audible? Am I audible?" And then after some time, she left the room. Sorry. Doctor, where are you? You left the room too.
Is this also part of some activity?
That's what even I'm wondering, Ravinder ma'am. Yeah.
I feel it is just look into whether we talk to each other or we
thought
not.
to each
You're
other
being
and wait for
tested.
the
Yeah, definitely.
Where's Dr. Indu?
I think Dr. Indu has exited on purpose.
No, she lost her connection and unable to join back. This was a message she has sent to WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Thankfully, it's not an. We are not being tested.
maybe
So,
she's giving us time to know each other better and have more of
Maybe.
open
Building rapport.
conversation on anything that we want.
Now, this comes as a surprise. Huh?
You send a message in the WhatsApp group,
Seems like a ploy. Seems like a trick.
Yeah.
It could be. It could be. Now I'm beginning to understand. I was just wondering what's happening. Where is Dr. Indu?
Yeah, she is.
Dr. Abdul, I hope you got my apology right. That I was listening, but I was required not to listen.
It's okay. It's okay.
check the WhatsApp messages because I think doctor cannot.
After 2 minutes, he's joined, I think.
But how is she able to connect to WhatsApp then?
she's here. She's here.
Ma'am? Ma'am is here.
The challenge is I don't know, my Wi-Fi probably has failed. So I'm not able to, use my laptop, but I'm there using my mobile data. Let's see how long this goes on. I'll try my best to cover as much as I can. But then I need to check why this Wi-Fi thing has happened. I may not be able to immediately resolve it. If I get up and go, then it will take away time. So I think one thing that I want to, the whole activity was done with the idea that when patients talk, when people who are working with us talk, when our juniors talk, when our subordinates talk, and we don't listen to them, they can make out. They can make out, and then they, especially if we are in authority position, they can't say anything. But then at the same time, they can sense that we are not listening to them. But those who were actually talking about their problem, I want to know from them, how did you feel being there? Dr. Abhishek, if you want to share your experience.
Yeah, so I did feel like Anu was not listening to me. So I started talking and then quickly wrapped up my story. I finished it in like 20 seconds.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Aparna, with whom were you in the breakout room?
So Dr. Indu, I was with Parameshwara sir, and but he was a very active listener because he had a pen in his hand. I guess he wanted to write what I was saying, but he was listening to me. He was very active listener.
Great. So I think the whole idea of this activity was to give you a feel of how people feel when we don't listen to them. Now, if I may ask you, how do you demonstrate that I'm listening to you?
By nodding head and saying, yes, go ahead. Yes, I'm listening. Something like that.
Yes, absolutely. What else?
Eye contact.
Eye contact.
Eye contact. Very important.
Leaning forward.
Leaning forward. Yes, that's very, very true. So that means at least first of all, the important thing is we should face the person. Especially if you have, computer or laptop or something, and you are busy writing the patient's information, then you are not even facing the person. That itself is very upsetting to the patient that I'm not giving 200% of the attention. Of course, all other things, like you said, looking at the patient, making eye contact, smiling if it is appropriate, and especially nodding. When you nod, you're communicating, I'm listening, I'm understanding, I'm agreeing. A lot of time we interrupt the patient. Any idea how frequently we interrupt the patient when they're talking about their problem?
Frequently.
Studies suggest we interrupt the patient within 11 seconds. So you can well imagine, if we are interrupting the patient within 11 seconds, what must be the how much is the patient really able to talk. So I think very important thing is prompt attention and attentive listening can help you win your patient's confidence, that you are there to listen, you are understanding their problem. If you allow the patient to speak, we normally think if we allow the patient to speak, they will take longer. In how much time do you think they are able to talk about their problem?
Not more than 1 minute.
Absolutely. Studies suggest most of the patients are able to talk about their problem between 60 and 80 seconds. And if you allow them that 1 minute to talk about their problem, their satisfaction level multiplies many, many fold. But then we need to have that patience to let them complete what they are saying, especially if we can make the diagnosis right from the way patient walks in. For example, a patient with shoulder dislocation, I think you can make out right looking at the patient, or the patient's shoulder is dislocated. But patient still wants to talk about that dislocation, how that happened, because that's what they want to share. People like to share their story. And if you don't let them talk about their problem, they feel very suffocated because it is there, but nobody is ready to listen. So therefore, it is very important to allow the other person to speak and also listen to the person. And we all know listening is therapeutic. A lot of time you can't do anything, but if you just listen and show your agreement and your understanding, that also is a way to communicate empathy. So this is another important skill I think we need to work. The thumb rule is 80% of listening and 20% of talking. I'm sure we all know how much we really listen and how much we do the talking. We really need to improve slowly, because I mean, as a habit, we are in habit of doing more of talking and less of listening. Even when it comes to training, let me tell you, you will have a lot of content in your head and you would like to talk. But trust me, more you will make your audience speak, more you will ask them to talk, and more you will listen to them. One, it will enrich your learning because they have a lot to share with you. And plus, they will feel happy that they were asked to speak and you were listening to them. So next session, when we'll talk about the facilitation skills, and especially with adults, because your audience is adults and professionals and educated. So all the more important, where you make it a habit to make them speak. So even if you look at the program that we are having right now, I make sure that I make you speak. I make you share your learning. I make you share your experience. And that's what actually engages you with me. That's what, and especially when I look at the feedback, I receive 1 or 2 feedbacks that they are kind of in the midway. And when I look back, they are the one either whose videos are not on, or I have not been able to call out their name and make them speak. If I make them speak, if I make them talk, I'm sure they will be engaged and they'll be happy. So when you are doing your training, it's very important to remember that you have to engage with your audience. Therefore, for a larger audience, you will not be able to engage anybody. Optimum size is 25 to 30 people. Then you will be able to engage almost everyone who is in your audience. So that's the power of attentive listening. 2 skills we have talked about. The third skill that I want to talk about is positive and helpful attitude. I think that is one skill which is very, very, very important. And if we are missing on that, then probably we will never be able to do justice with what we are doing. Being in healthcare, I can't say that I don't want to be helpful, or I can't be nice to people and I'm doing my work mechanically. Then I am at a wrong place, honestly. So this particular skill, I want to, share by narrating a story. And I think that will help us see the power of positive attitude and, the attitude towards our work also. So there was a building being made, and there were some laborers working on the building, on the construction work. Somebody who was passing by that road asked the first laborer, "What are you doing?" And he said, I'm earning my livelihood. I'll get money and then I will look after my family. With that money, I'll get food for my family. So a lot of us work for money, which is perfectly all right. I think that's required. So there's nothing wrong if you're working for money. But if we are working only for money, that's not good enough. He goes to the second person who is also doing the construction work. He asks him, "What are you doing?" So that person is little irritated. In a very, rough tone, he says, "Are you blind? Can't you see I'm breaking stones?" So you will come across people, in your industry, who are always irritated, always unhappy, always complaining, always finding fault. They are never happy with their position. They are never happy with the work. They are never happy with the patient. They'll always be finding fault. Doctors kharab hai, nurses kharab hai, patients kharab hai, staff kharab hai, hospital kharab hai. Everybody is wrong. Again, so if that's the way of my looking at life and situation and my work and my profession, you can well imagine what will be my life. He goes to the third person. "What are you doing?" He's also doing the same work. So he asks the other person, "What are you doing?" That person says, he takes him to one side and there's a huge map, put up on the wall. And he says, "There's a beautiful temple coming up here and I'm constructing the temple." One job, same job, 3 people doing with different intention. The outcome will be completely different. When I find something burden, something I'm not liking, definitely I'm creating negative emotions, negative chemicals, and stress within me. And we all know the kind of hormones we release when we are under stress and how that affects our physical and mental health. And when you're enjoying doing something, when you're passionate about doing something, the body creates a different, energy, different thought process, different chemicals. You know the power of positive thinking. If you have positive attitude towards your work, towards your colleagues, towards patients, towards your profession, you'll work with a very different attitude. I think that's very important. This is one thing right now missing in our profession. We really need to understand. See, if I'm in healthcare and if I think I'm not in a good profession, I better leave and go. Then I blame 1,000 people and say that everybody is wrong and I'm the only one who is right in their position. Simply even willingness to talk to your patient is the best way to showcase that I am happy conversing with you. So that's about third skill. Any questions about third skill? That is positive and helpful attitude. See, I normally tell people working in healthcare are blessed. And I also tell them कि आपको मंदिर, मस्जिद, गुरुद्वारे, चर्च कहीं जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Right at your workplace, you can get blessings. Your work is your karam bhumi. If you send your patients happy, if you send your colleagues happy, if you create good work environment, blessings will automatically come to you. So I was taking a session for a group of doctors working in emergency medicine. I asked them in the comment setup, pardon me for that. So I asked them what kind of comments people make while they are going. So one of them said, patients बोल कर जाते हैं, आपके साथ भी ऐसा हो तो आपको पता लगे. If my patients are saying something like this to me, I literally need to sit and think, what am I doing? And I say, अगर दुआ लगती है तो बद्दुआ भी लगती है. So it's very important to remember that we don't have to earn curses from people. We have to make sure that each one of us do our karmas in the right way. Pardon me for bringing spirituality into it, but that's the only way I think we can look at our work to enjoy our work and be happy about what we are doing. So that's skill 3. And skill 4, which is very, very important, and that is assertion. If I may ask you, what do you understand by assertion? I think, maybe 1 or 2 of you can unmute your device and speak, because I will not be able to read the comments in the chat box. But just and briefly, so that everybody gets a chance to share their thoughts. What do you think is assertion? In one word, maybe you can say.
Putting strongly your point of view. And
Strongly. Okay. Okay, hold on, Raminder. I'll come back to you. It's an interesting version that you're talking about. And what, Raminder? You said putting strongly your point of view
and also like making the things very clear, having the situation under your control.
Control. Okay. So please keep note these 2 points, strong and control, and I'll come back to you. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad that you are you brought this up. What do others say? Briefly, like Raminder said.
Declaration
Yes,
with
yes.
empathy. Declaration of a
Okay.
statement with empathy.
Okay, empathy, wonderful. I think I take that word with very with full regard. Yes, what do others say?
Making a statement strongly that you believe that something that is true. You believe something is true, and you.
Okay, again strongly. So too strong, huh? Too strong and clear. Okay, thank you. What do others say? Purnima, I think Dr. Purnima, you want to add?
Ability to make the people to accept what we say.
Accept. Okay, and if they don't accept, then it is not assertion.
Assertion would be.
I think this is one skill. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Putting some thought. You have put in some thought, and then you have reached something which you yourself believe in, and then you're stating it out loudly. I mean, you're stating it out aloud, not loudly. You're putting forth your view. Person who's listening.
Okay, great. So, do you want to know about your communication style? Dr. Abhishek, I think you wish to say something. You have raised your hand.
Just wanted to say that making a statement while hand holding, at least in my scene, hand holding the patient.
Okay, great. Because this is one skill. If we 1 second, admit. Okay, this is one skill. If we all had, I think, lot of aggressive reactions can be handled very, very smartly, very, very smartly. Unfortunately, we have a very wrong understanding of assertion. When I say I put my opinion strongly, that means somewhere I think I am right and I need to assert in a manner that people have to accept it. Pardon me for saying that this is not the right definition of assertion. Assertion is being able to say what you want to say in 5 things. So these 5 things I want you to note down. Open, like you said clearly. Raminder, you said clearly. That's open, honest. If you don't agree, be honest, I don't agree. But when you say I don't agree, you are confident, you are respectful and positive. So whatever you say in an open and honest manner, without hiding your feelings and thoughts, without fearing that if I disagree, the other person will get offended. But the way you say is respectful, positive, and confident. And when you assert, you are not just saying what you want to say. You want to listen to the other person also. Okay, this is my opinion. Tell me, what do you think? And then there's a dialogue. There is no one stand. Okay, I am here and I am here and I'm not moving. I am here. This is what is my point of view. Tell me what is your point of view. And then we have a discussion. And if I think what you're saying is making sense, I would say, I think what you're saying is right. I agree with you. Let's apply what you are saying. So I am not adamant. The biggest problem is we think assertion is equal to adamancy. No. The moment you will delete this, equation, you will have a lot of clarity. Assertion will give you satisfaction that you expressed your opinion in an honest manner. You did not suffocate yourself. You did not fear anybody. You did not let people just take you for granted. If you don't like something, say that I don't like something. And that's all. Let people know that you don't agree with them. But that does not mean that they have to agree with you. Assertion does not mean that people have to agree with you. Now, have you all noted down the four scores that you were supposed to note down? All of you have noted down? So
Yes.
we all handle situations in four manners, in four different ways. For example, we are not in agreement with somebody. Maybe the patient is not behaving well, or is not agreeing with us, or is not listening to us, or maybe not even complying with what we are saying. Happens. Very often this happens. So some of us have a tendency to withdraw, to become quiet, and not take any stand, and be okay with it. Let it be. I don't care. But that style of communication, it's called passive communication, where you have taken a quiet stand and you withdraw from the situation. Once in a while, if you do something like this, it is all right. But if that's my regular way of doing, what is the disadvantage? Please unmute. Dr. Som, I think yeah.
It's withdrawn, you will be taken for granted. You will be put a lot of stress.
Absolutely. You will be taken for granted. Nobody will listen to you. Nobody will value your opinion. How will you feel? Yeah, yes, Dr. Purnima, go ahead.
Sorry. Also, it will build up resentment in you because you have not expressed your opinion.
Absolutely. You will feel suffocated and resentful. And where will be your self-confidence, self-esteem, happiness, satisfaction? So you can imagine if somebody is, is a passive communicator, to look at them might appear unconcerned or nothing affected. But internally, their confidence, their esteem would be very, very low. And they feel suffocated. What about your personal growth? Now coming to the second style. So your first score is your passive communication score. Your first score is your passive communication score. More often than this, the tendency we have is we will become quiet in this situation, but actually we are not quiet inside. So once we leave that meeting, we come back and we creep, and we talk ill, and we blame that person, and we want to view the picture as though this person never respected my opinion and never allowed me to share my thoughts, and they did not give me a chance to talk, and therefore I could not speak. And that style of communication is passive aggressive communication style. So your second scores are your passive aggressive communication style scores. I hope all of you have your scores with you. Anybody who does not have these scores, did you note down?
Yeah.
Yes, we have noted down.
Dr. Razak, you have your scores?
Ma'am, I forgot to note down.
I was thinking this. So let me quickly give you your scores. You can note down all four scores.
Thank you.
I'm reading it for everyone. You can note down for yourself. So I'm starting with Raminder because that's her first. Dr. Razak, can you mute your device? There is disturbance.
Yes, I actually I was done outside. I can't actually.
It's okay. I will request you to note down now your scores, and I'm starting Raminder. I'm just reading these four scores: 6, 6, 5, 20. Raminder. Dr. Razak, your score is 6, 8, 11, 20. Dr. Purnima, 13, 13, 15, 17. Dr. Simil, 7, 7, 9, 17. Then is Anandita, 5, 6, 10, 20. After Anandita, Dr. Abhishek, 15, 14, 15, 20. Have you noted down? Okay. Then Jenna, 16, 8, 12, 19. Dr. Soma, your scores 9, 14, 15, 20. Dr. Razak, have you taken this questionnaire twice? Because I can see your scores twice, but that's okay. That's all right. It's okay. Dr. Annu, 11, 6, 7, 20. Aparna, 11, 10, 16, 20. And Dr. Parmeshwara, 14, 5, 13, 18. 12 of you or 11 of you have taken the questionnaire, and these are the scores. Okay, now I'm coming back to discussion. So as I said, the second score is your passive aggressive communication style score. People who use this as their way of communication, they would normally not open up when the right time comes, but they would actually talk about it and discuss about it, and usually talk ill about it later on. Again, it's not a healthy way of communication, because if you're resentful and if you're aggressive inside, ultimately it's harming your inner self and it will come out. Passive aggression ultimately comes out sometime and it disturbs you. Then a lot of us also become quickly aggressive. I mean, very easily we lose our composure and we become aggressive. When I say aggressive, it doesn't mean that we actually start physically fighting, but your facial expressions might change, your tone of voice might change, selection of words may go wrong, and of course, sometimes we start throwing things and we start, shouting at people. All that is nothing but aggressive behavior. So that's also, the way we handle, especially when we are handling people who are junior to us, younger to us, or they are lower in hierarchy. With patients and their family members also, sometimes we become aggressive because we think that they can't do anything about it. So we throw our anger and aggression on them. And that is style 3. Of course, number 4 is assertion. That is where we communicate our thoughts and feelings and expression in a very honest and respectful manner. We are open to listening to the other person. We allow the other person to share their thoughts, and we negotiate and we discuss. I can see from your scores, almost all of you have highest score on the assertion. So you all must be very happy. Am I right? But there is slight twist in this story. The twist is you will start with assertion. You will try assertion, because by this age, I think we all have learned assertion. But when your assertion will not work, you are likely to move on to your second highest style scores, whichever is your second highest score. You are likely to use that as your way of handling the situation. You will not give up. If your assertion is not getting you the result that you want, you are likely to use the second, highest style score. For example, if I may, Dr. Purnima, can I take your example? We are okay with it? Okay. So you will try assertion, which is 17. But if it will not work, there's a possibility that you will become aggressive. And a lot of time you can also become passive aggressive and passive also, depending upon how you want to deal with it. So they're quite close, neck to neck, 13, 13, 15. So that means, but more chances are that you will become aggressive in this situation. If I take Raminder's example, I think she has highest on assertion, and rest all 3 are very, very low, 6, 6, 5, which is nominal. So I think she sticks to assertion and not become passive aggressive or aggressive. That's a good score, I would say. Now, if I go to Aparna, again, Aparna, you will try assertion, and if it doesn't work, you are likely to become aggressive. Aparna, do you agree with your scores? Great. I'm glad that you.
Yes.
And these are done by you, so you can't deny these scores. It's not me who has given you the rating. Okay. Next, I would like to talk about whose score, which will give us little, deeper understanding. Okay. Dr. Soma, in your case, you will try assertion. In case if it will not work, you have both the tendencies, passive aggressive and aggressive, because 14, 15 are very, very close. One more example. Okay. Dr. Parmeshwara, your example. So you will try assertion, and if assertion does not work, you will either become aggressive or you will become passive. You will withdraw. Dr. Parmeshwara, do you agree with your scores?
Yeah, I totally agree with your comments.
Yeah. So I think
become literally aggressive. Yeah.
Yes. So this should give us insight about how we communicate. Assertion is the best way to communicate. You will enjoy peace of
Ma'am, I am not clear with the third score.
Okay, say Simil. So in your case, even you see, Simil, your assertion is not very powerful. 17. So you need to be more assertive. Maybe your colleagues can vouch for you or tell you. I mean, if they agree with this course, you need to be a little more assertive. At the same time, your other scores are acceptable, 779, which is not but your assertion score can be better. There's a scope to improve.
What is the third score? Third score is
Third
related
score,
to?
77917.
No, ma'am.
Third score is 9.
The first one is aggressive, the second is passive aggression, third one is
Aggressive.
Fully aggressive.
Fully aggressive.
And first one?
First is passive. Second is passive aggressive. Third is aggressive. And fourth is assertive. Is that clear, Simil?
Yes.
Okay. But from your scores, I can tell you that if you work on your assertion, you will find yourself more effective in your interactions. Yes, Dr. Parmeshwar, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah. See,
Please.
when it comes to patient interaction, what I've noticed is, to every patient I communicate, I feel there's an assertion in that. They're totally convinced in that. So I am talking only about patient communication here.
So this is, see, again, a lot of us, we have very clear compartments.
Yeah.
With patients, we have to be very perfect.
Yeah.
But how about my interaction with my staff? With my nurses?
There's a different way to handle my staff. I can't handle my staff the same way I handle my patients. Totally different.
So that means it gets reflected in your scores. It is getting reflected in your scores.
Okay. I am totally different when it comes to patients.
And it is time that we realize that our staff are our assets.
Yeah. Correct.
And they are human. And they need to be respected. And they need to be nurtured. And see, your scores speak about how you handle those situations. And you are also, and because sometimes, we don't realize it's more like a blind spot for us. So this activity actually is opening your mind to the blind spot. That's one area I need. Like you said, I'm perfect with my patients. My patients are very happy. But that means somewhere where I know socially this behavior is required, I'm applying that. But what about with my? I remember head of the department of my husband. He was very, very wonderful with his patients, but with his own family he was very rough and rude. So that means we are kind of leading a double standard life. Again, that's not a wonderful thing, because we are faking at one place, either there or here. And I believe we need to be as one as possible. I know we all have, two different ways of handling situation, but they should be as close as possible. Because if I am faking, then there's all possibility that someday truth will come out. Even if I don't use the word faking, which may not be the right word here, even if I'm using two different, and I've seen a lot of doctors, very, very nice and kind to their patients, but very authoritative and rude with their staff. There was a time your staff would take it. But if you are handling Generation Z, trust me, they will not stay with you. They will not be happy with you. Your residents and your other, staff. And today, I think most important thing is how to retain your staff. Hospitals who talk of attrition, they are responsible for attrition. If you looked after your staff well, why will your staff leave and go? Tell me. I'll be digressing from the topic that we are talking, but that's the important discussion that we need to have. That if we want to retain people, we need to. And one day, I wish we have time. I talk about Maslow's theory, and I tell you, it is not the money. If you want to really, win your staff on the Maslow's theory, basic needs are well met. Even their security needs are well met. You can encash on their social need and their self-esteem need. which doesn't require any money. It requires recognition, appreciation, acknowledgement. And everybody wants love and respect. If you can give that to your staff, they are always going to be with you. Somebody did some activity. I don't know who did that. Thank you. I hope it's making sense to everyone. Thank you. So assertion is one skill, which is a great, great strength. I think we are not taught assertion because even our elders thought assertion is being aggressive and authoritative and being more, rude. No, assertion is not being rude. We should teach our children, our students, our staff to assert. If you will empower your staff to assert, they will not let anything go wrong. For example, right in your department, your nursing staff, they are observant of everything. If you empower them with that assertion as a skill, they will come up to you and report you what is going wrong. But if you are very, aggressive and authoritative, they may not have that courage to come and speak to you because they'll fear that you might react aggressively. And a lot of errors are just covered up because people fear that they will be punished or they will be reprimanded for the error. So that's skill 4, that is assertion. And I think that's one skill I always recommend that you should have always with you. Skill 5, that is empathy. And when I say empathy, just one word. Put yourself in their position. If you were there, if it was my father, or if it was my mother, what would I expect from the treating doctors and nurses? If it was my family member, what will I expect from my doctors and my nurses? I think empathy does not require extra effort, but it requires desire to, look at the situation in more human way. So we all experience 4 kind of emotions in any work situation. I take an example. For example, a patient comes in and I'm in emergency medicine and I'm working. Patient comes in, I can see patient sitting on, on one of these stools, but I'm busy doing something and I take good 2-3 minutes even to look at the patient and I'm doing my work. I'm not looking at the patient. A patient is rolling in pain, or maybe definitely this patient has come to emergency, there must be some emergency, but I'm not attending to the patient. This is called apathy. When I'm not sensitive to my patient's suffering, this is apathy. Then the patient's attendant comes to me and, in an angry way, the patient says, "What is this? What is your system? For the last 10 minutes, I'm waiting and nobody's attending to me. What is the point of having an emergency department? I'm going to go and complain against you. Tell me your name." Now, if the person has insulted me, naturally I'm hurt. So in the heart of my heart, I say, "Wait, I'll make you wait for another 10 minutes. This is antipathy. A lady comes in with the child. The child is actually, really unwell. Mother is crying. Seeing her cry, even I start crying. That is sympathy. All these 3 emotions are not required. The correct emotional response is empathy. And empathy is very empowering. It's not an emotional response, it's a cognitive response. Especially in healthcare, empathy not only gives me an idea of what this patient must be going through, but it also empowers me by telling what I can do to reduce my patient's suffering. That's the best. This is empathy in action, where I quickly start thinking, how can I reduce my patient's suffering? That is empathy in action. If I may ask you, what is the barrier in expressing empathy? I'm asking this why? Because recently I gave an empathy questionnaire to the medical students. I got extremely surprising responses. Around 150 medical students, final year students who were going for internship. I just checked their understanding of empathy and what they felt about it. I'll share those sharing with you. I mean, their responses with you. And also, I took a session for a set of doctors in JP Hospital on, leveraging empathy. But if I may ask all of you, what are the barriers in expressing empathy?
Monotonous
Can
work.
I say a word?
If you raise your hand, then everybody will get a chance to speak. Yeah. Aparna, do you want to speak first?
Yes.
Okay.
So for me, it is like तुम्हारा problem, मेरा problem नहीं.
Okay. True. पर अगर वो उसका प्रॉब्लम मेरा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है तो किसका प्रॉब्लम? तो मुझे दुकान लगाकर नहीं बैठना चाहिए ना. देखो, मैं अपने कस्टमर को ये कह रही हूँ कि दुकान तो मेरी है, दुकान मुझे चलानी भी है और पैसा भी आप ही से आना है, लेकिन तुम्हारी प्रॉब्लम मेरी प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. So who will take this logic? Yes, Anandita, go ahead, please.
So the same repetitive work we are doing, the doctors that keep doing. So that somewhere down the line, the feeling dries up. So that empathy is sometimes lost, and too less of time and too many work to do. So it's more of like a mechanical thing that happens instead of that human feeling gets lost.
So Anandita, it is not just only doctors. I think empathy is lacking for all healthcare professionals. आप बिलिंग में चले जाओ, आप फ्रंट डेस्क पे चले जाओ, आप लैब में चले जाओ, फार्मेसी में चले जाओ, आप रेडियोलॉजी में चले जाओ, आप इमरजेंसी में चले जाओ. I think all of us are, I mean, there in every department. It is not just the doctors. It is all of us who have actually lost the right understanding of empathy. और जो हम सोच रहे हैं कि टाइम नहीं है, even again, empathy does not require time. Again, that's an expression that automatically goes in your conversation and your behavior. But yes, I agree with you, because we have not taught empathy, so we have not learned it. Yes, Dr. Anu, go ahead. You want to say something? Go ahead, please.
Most of us will think like if we start showing empathy, like we will be having fear that how those people will take that. And sometimes selecting words to show empathy is also one of the major challenge. So many people feel empathetic inside, but they will be failing to express in words.
So my understanding that I get from, yes, Dr. Purnima, yes, go ahead, please. Yeah.
I feel that it's a sort of self-protective mechanism that we try to shelter ourselves from the pain and the feeling that if I would feel too much or if I would put myself in the person's shoes, then I would be experiencing traumatic emotions throughout the day because it's my work day in and day out.
I think this is one impression I got from the responses of the medical students. One, they don't have clarity between empathy, because they feel empathy is attaching yourself with the patient. In empathy, you don't attach yourself with the patient. I think this clarity has to be brought in. I am not attached with the patient, but I know I have that ability to relieve my patient of the suffering. So that clarity has to be brought in right at the medical college from year one. That empathy will help patient heal faster. Empathy will help patient come closer to you and get benefited by the communication. And studies have shown, I have n number of studies, if you want, I can share with you, situations where doctors have expressed empathy with their patient, those patients heal faster. They respond better to the treatment. The relapse rate goes down, compliance improves. But provided we know that empathy and sympathy are different. In sympathy, you carry that emotion with you. The simplest and the easiest distinction between the two is empathy is feeling for the person. Sympathy is feeling for the person, and empathy is feeling with the person. We don't feel for the patient. If I'm on duty, I'm doing my job, I leave. I don't have to feel for the patient, go home and cry and not eat my food. Again, this can be learned. It will not come naturally. Yes, there is a possibility that initially, every time I will see a death in the ward, I will go back and cry and I will be upset and I may not be able to have my food. But when I have clarity on what is my role, where I draw a line, slowly that can be learned. That we learn to, like for example, in counseling also, people come and share all their personal life. But you can't judge them and then be disrespectful or be angry with them or also take that emotion on yourself. No. That's a skill that we have to learn. So similarly, in empathy, we feel with the person that yes, I'm sure this person is in need of help. This is what I can do. Then we have to move further and see how we can reduce the patient's suffering. And I think that is empathy in action.
Just
One
one
of the
thing.
misunderstanding about empathy. Yes, Raminder, go ahead, please.
Yeah, because I think in nursing, I still remember my teachers from in nursing, we have been taught about communication skills, interpersonal skills, and empathy right from the beginning. The
Yeah.
day we go to the clinical, they say that you have to have empathy with the patient. But at the same time, it is not that we can really learn it so fast. We still remember the experience for us and our students that first time when you see a patient dying or person with burns and other things, you come out and cry, and you have a teacher with you who comes and says that this is what you need to learn how to have control, but it is not bad to come out and cry if you're feeling, but
Absolutely.
not in front of the patient. So we have been taught that way.
That's what I'm telling, that the seniors have to actually teach youngsters how to learn to regulate their emotions but still be empathetic and helpful and kind and compassionate. So ultimately it should come in action. What can I do to relieve my patient's suffering? That is what is the real application of empathy. And it's not just for nurses or doctors, I think everybody. For example, yesterday when I was interacting with the patient care coordinators, most of them were not from the healthcare background. So for them, it was more of a mechanical work. Patient's MRI needs to be done. So I will coordinate with the MRI department and I'll tell the patient that this is the time you have to go there. No, they may have 110 concerns. But if you don't address those concerns, then how are you going to really coordinate their care? But then empathy, again, is very important for them to learn. So doctors, nurses, even front desk staff, security guard also need to be sensitized, especially, for example, who are at the critical care areas. When there's a patient inside, the family is really fearing death and complication and all sorts of outcome. And the security guard acts as though I'm the boss here and I will not let you go. They need to be sensitized that even if you have to say no, there's a way to say no. You cannot just be rude and rough and aggressive with patient party. A lot of time aggressive reactions come from the patient party because we act very, very apathetic, rude, aggressive, and that's why they feel very, very bad. So if you remember that case that happened at AIMS, that young girl who fell from the rooftop, and their family came in with the girl because she was playing on the rooftop and she fell from the roof. So naturally, if such an incident happens, family will be very, very upset and disturbed. So they wanted to go with the girl inside the emergency, and we know we can't take everybody in. We have to just ask the family to stay out and wait. But then there's a way of saying this. The security guard was very, very aggressive, rude. What this family did, they literally came in and broke everything and they lost the child, and that they were very aggressive. And we have a number of examples. I remember, and it's not just the security guard, my dear. I must tell you another case of Indian, Delhi hospital, and this is again a real life case I'm sharing. A young boy got, he was actually on his way to distribute his sister's wedding card. Unfortunately, on the way, he met with an accident and he died on the spot in the road traffic accident. His body was brought to the nearby hospital, and naturally, if it was the RTA case, they had to do the postmortem. But incidentally, the hospital did not have the provision for it, and it was already post lunchtime. So they informed the family that it will be done tomorrow morning. The family kept requesting that please, if you can do it today, we can take the body back and then see if we can cremate today, so that we can think now whether to go ahead with the marriage or not. Naturally, you can see on one end you are very happy and excited, and suddenly there's a death in the family. So with the hope that the medical superintendent will be able to understand their plight and their confusion, they go to the medical superintendent requesting, sir, if you could either do away with the postmortem, or if it needs to be done, then please do it today. Do you know what was the response from the medical superintendent? मिट्टी है, देख लो, चाहे आज करवा लो चाहे कल करवा लो. So you can well imagine क्या हुआ होगा इसके बाद में. Did everybody understand? Anybody wants me to translate in English? So empathy जो है ना वो it has to be cultivated. और अगर हम empathetic अंदर नहीं है ना वो बाहर आता ही आता है. मतलब right from security guard to the medical superintendent, we need to sensitize people that you can't be rude, rough, and aggressive with people. And we have to learn the vocabulary also. That's also very important. So that brings us to the end of this particular session. I know we have taken much longer. It's 9:45. I will not, hold you further. I will be closing it here because I'm not able to show you some of the slides that I wanted to show you. And of course, this could be discussed so well through discussion and question answer. So I don't think we have missed anything on it. But the next topic, that is designing a program, requires some slides to be seen. We will combine that and the next topic together, and we will do in the next session. Is that okay with everyone?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. Any questions on what we have discussed? Any feedback, any points that you want to add?
Madam, today's session was very helpful, and it has brought all the points together in one place. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's why I said 5, so that it is easy to remember, it is easy to apply, and it is easy to even transfer. Say, even in your team, in your induction program, if you can bring in these 5 skills for your team, whoever they are, nurses, doctors, residents, housekeeping staff. I remember I was taking a session at Malviya Nagar Hospital. It's a government hospital. So it was a session for security guards and housekeeping staff. Throughout the session, it was on site. It was in the hospital. Throughout the session, there was one man who was constantly looking at me and not giving me any expressions. I was quite, surprised that is he not liking it? Is he not enjoying it? Is he unhappy? What it is? Because he was not giving me any expression. But when I was closing my session and I was winding up my laptop and other thing, he came to me and he had tears in his eyes. He said, "Ma'am, 30 साल हो गए काम करते हुए, कभी किसी ने बताया ही नहीं कि पेशेंट्स के साथ कैसे बात करनी है। मैं तो हमेशा ही बहुत रूखा बोलता हूँ, बहुत ही बदतमीजी से बात करता हूँ." And that really opened my eyes. I said, "Oh my goodness, I was thinking that he's not liking it, and look what feedback he has given to me." So that's the beauty of these skills. They will help you to train your team to align with your philosophy and your mission. I'm closing it here. I'll share the feedback form in the group. I request all of you to give your feedback. In the last session also, I received feedback only from 8 members. I request, please give feedback. I normally wait for 2-3 days before I close that window, and I read every feedback very carefully. Your feedback will help me serve you better. We will try as much as we can touch and cover in every session. Thank you so much. Thank you for the patience. Thank you for the cooperation. And thank you to the mobile data. At least we could continue this session. I was thinking we'll get
Thank you
cancelled.
so much. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you so
night.
much.
Good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you and good night.